Well, we're having a good time here as we explore different options for landscaping. In fact, today we're going to look at a property that literally has gone from shade to sunshine. And Mark, there was a lot of shade here at one time for the homeowner, and it wasn't shade that was really welcome that much, right?
You know what, Craig? There was this huge, enormous silver maple tree in the front yard, and I am a tree lover, but I am not a big fan of silver maple trees. Can honestly say, have never ever planted one. I've got such a strong dislike for them. You know, it's a very weak tree. They're very fast growing. They grow like weeds. They have all these surface roots in that. And what we had here was a condition that was no longer tolerable. And so the first decision that we made was the tree had to go. It just was engulfing the front yard and pretty impossible to have a nice landscape.
Now, the homeowner, having seen the show a number of times, began to accumulate some ideas. So he didn't come at you cold, did he? He kind of probably had a feel for what you were going to do.
Actually, he was very well informed and had a list of his wants and desires, as well as some pictures that he had found and discovered. And what we did was incorporate all of those elements into our landscape design. And the result is we've got a beautiful landscape here.
Yes,
the house is facing west, and so what used to be heavy, heavy shade now is getting full sun.
All right. Well, what we've titled this show is Landscape Renovation Going from Shade to Sun. And if you can relate, you'll want to stay tuned, obviously. And if you'd like any help, of course, call Mark anytime at Linton's Enchanted Garden. So what do you say we get started?
Okay, the focal point right here in front of us, Craig, is this beautiful Japanese bloodgood maple. And we selected this because the exterior of the house is kind of this blue-gray color, and I love the burgundies along with that color. Beautiful color combination. The Japanese maple is a small, slow-growing dwarf tree that's not going to overpower the house here and can easily be kept maintained into the appropriate size, just with some occasional pruning. And then down around the base, we've got our color. Out here in the front of the bed is a perennial called Gaillardia, also known as blanket flower. And what I like about these is that they start blooming in the springtime. They continue to bloom throughout the entire summertime and up until frost in the fall.
Yeah, it adds a really nice touch of color. I like that.
It does.
Very cool.
And then we've also got our dwarf repeat blooming daylilies, and you see the flower buds just starting to form there. Those are going to have a nice splash of color throughout the summertime, and they're going to come back year after year. And what the homeowner wanted was a low maintenance landscape. And so we've got a lot of perennials in here. We've got spring blooming, summer blooming, and fall blooming as well.
Mark, you mentioned the maple kind of playing off the siding here, and so does the brick that you've decided upon here.
Oh, thanks for noticing. Yeah, my favorite type of edging is using paving bricks. And we not only use paving bricks, we use a brick edge. And if you look real closely where we've excavated the soil, you'll see this 1/8 of an inch vinyl edging along
I can see
there.
that.
And what that does is holds those bricks perfectly lined up like a row of soldiers.
Yeah.
And then you don't have any snaking of the bricks and that, so keeps it perfectly in place. And actually that edging is an L-shaped edging, and so those bricks are setting on a bed of edging as well. We've got some 8-inch metal spikes that are driven through there, so it holds that edging in place. It's a very low maintenance and a very nice way to edge a landscape bed.
So 5 or 10 years from now you come back, it's going to look pretty much the same. You're not going to see bricks at uneven distances from each other or levels.
Absolutely. Guaranteed not to do that because of the base that they are sitting on.
Very cool.
And our grass, we've reduced the size of the bed, and so the grass is going to grow right up to that brick edge, and you won't even be able to see and tell that it's there, but you will be able to know that it's providing that benefit or function.
Excellent. Now, you've done work here at this home in Elkhart, Mark, both front, side, and back. We're going to take just a little look here around the side and then go to the front. What do you have for us next?
Well, here on the corner of the garage, it's a rather small landscape bed, and it's actually, typical size in that. But in order to create balance and symmetry, we expanded this bed past the other side of the sidewalk here to create more of a layered type of look. Right next to you, Craig, is one of our Hellman Pillar Barberry. Beautiful deep burgundy colored leaves. They maintain that color spring, summer, and fall. It's going to give us some vertical height there. Eventually I'd like to see this reach up to about 3.5, 4 feet in height. The nice thing about that is it only gets to be 12, 15 inches in width, so it's not going to grow over the edge of the driveway or scratch any vehicles that are coming in and going.
Sure.
We also have some little dwarf ornamental grasses. These are gold variegated liriope, and in a few weeks these are going to start developing some flower heads. Blooms with a beautiful blue colored flower, and that blue color up against the green and gold variegated leaves, beautiful color combination. You also will see some boulders that are incorporated in here. These are actually repurposed boulders that were already here on the site, and we've incorporated them back into the new landscape.
I like what you've done, and there's more to come here as we head toward the pole, right?
Around the post lamp here, want to make this very welcoming and inviting. The nice thing is that the guests here to the house actually get to walk through the landscape. The edging has a nice flow to it. It's going to be easy to mow and maintain. We've got a combination of both evergreen and deciduous here. The little dwarf blue star junipers maintain this blue color 12 months out of the year. Incredibly low maintenance. They just kind of naturally shape themselves. We also have the red knockout roses, which continue to bloom all 3 seasons. And earlier in the spring, we had a nice showing here of the dianthus. Still a few flowers left on them after they're done blooming. Kind of blue-green colored leaves. Looks like a little dwarf ornamental grass, but very prolific bloomer for in the springtime. Just now about reaching the end of its bloom cycle.
Now, you mentioned, Mark, before we totally leave this area, you had expanded the bed over on the far side of the driveway, and you did the same here?
Yes, and you can see that it comes equal distance on each side of the driveway, so it just appears that it flows right across there.
It looks like something that was in mind in the very beginning, but you just kind of added it, and it looks seamless.
Thanks for noticing.
Nice job. Next.
Well, we also have another Hellman Pillar Barberry here for some balance and symmetry, one on each side of the garage door. We're also accenting this corner of the house here with a little dwarf Alberta spruce that fits in with our low maintenance theme here. Nice little dwarf pyramidal evergreen that just naturally shapes itself. And you know, the crazy thing is all of these flowering plants, trees, and shrubs that are here at this house, none of them would have been able to survive or exist if we still had that huge silver maple tree here.
Is that right?
It opened up a lot of options.
It would have sucked all the sunlight, right?
Exactly, exactly.
Wow.
In front of me here is our little moonbeam coreopsis, a nice performing perennial that continues to bloom all 3 seasons, spring, summer, and fall. We actually have them lining the sidewalk here for a nice splash of color. And then again, Craig, it's a very layered type of look. We have height in the background, and then shorter, smaller plants towards the sidewalk here.
Yeah, planning is everything, isn't it?
It is. And you know, this house has some very low windows. The base of the window is only like 12 inches off of the ground. And so that creates some challenges here. What we did was select these little dwarf Andorra junipers that actually don't get any taller than 12 inches in height, but they do spread out vertically or horizontally. And those will change colors in the fall. They'll take on more of a purplish plum color. And again, that color works out really well with the gray exterior here.
All right, Mark, about a minute to wrap up here. And how about a final word on probably the biggest part of the job right here in the main section of the front of the house?
Well, certainly. We want a nice focal point, and so we selected this beautiful red Japanese lace leaf maple with these reddish burgundy colored leaves contrasting nice with the house. Again, some more low-growing junipers, one underneath the base of each window. And then we like a contrast of textures, and so we've incorporated some of these summer blooming grasses in here for a little bit of height and texture. These are Carl Forrester's feather reed grass, one of my personal favorites, only reaching about 3.5 feet in height.
Excellent. Well, all this began with a viewer that began, well, taking notes and collecting ideas. And of course, he had a history of going into Linton's Enchanted Gardens to purchase items inside. But it's kind of neat the way this has all evolved and come into fruition for him. Nice job, Mark.
Thank you, Craig.
Well, we got a lot more coming up on the program. And of course, great ideas ahead as well. So stay tuned.